I think that this is technically our debut album, but it should have been the second or the third one, or maybe even the fourth one, because obviously the band under the name of Trivax has been around for approximately 7 years, since back in Iran, and I did have a version of the album about 6 years ago, and that had, I think, about the same amount of tracks as we've got now, but obviously afterwards things changed very quickly, and we had to obviously the band had to relocate to England, and it's just been a building process since that, with new members, new just new atmosphere in general. And obviously the songwriting that had taken place 6 years ago was something that I had done on my own, rather than doing it with a band. But what we have now, even though I'm still responsible for the songwriting side of things, it is very much the energy of the whole band that you will be getting on this album. And yeah, there's been a lot of delays, you know, a lot of changes in the band, mostly personally, a lot of acid trips gone wrong, a lot of I don't know. There's been a lot of changes, a lot of live shows that have changed our perspective quite a lot, and it's when we finally found the true core of Trivax as a band and what it really stood for that this final version came together. Now, I still think that the energy that exists within the album and the actual performance and the general package is not usually the level of a band's first album, but it's quite a statement, I think, because it has a lot behind it. It has a lot of there's been a lot of things that have happened that have changed us as people, have changed Trivax as a band, and what we have now is really something huge, and I can't wait for people to hear it. Most of the material is from the past year and a half, 2 years maybe, but this is material that's inspired by the year before it, you know, even from the first EP that we released. It's like you write a song and then you write another song that's influenced by that other one, and then that second one's better, and then that process keeps happening over and over again, and that's exactly the case with about the 80–90% of the tracks on this album. However, we still do have songs that are from 5 years ago. We have ones that are from last year. I myself was personally responsible for most of the songwriting. However, each one of the members, they've added their own touch to it, their own essence, if that makes sense. And the album in general, musically, it's very, very diverse actually, which, like I said, for a debut album is quite unusual for the album to be diverse, because usually with bands, the first album, all the tracks usually sound the same, especially in metal. There's so many examples of that everywhere, but with this one it just so happens to be that every track that you listen to, it's like it's written by a different band, but it holds the same energy, the same essence. So yeah, and we do have one 11–12 minute track which is titled Void Star, and I heavily encourage people who have suicidal thoughts not to listen to that, or maybe do, I don't know. But it's because every single person in the scene is complaining that they've not heard a band that, you know, is going to continue the fire of the genre, basically. And I think that is because people support the wrong bands. There are many good bands out there, and you don't hear from them because just the fans, they say one thing and then they do another. They say that they want to support the music scene, yet what they do is that they go to the local pub every weekend or every week, and then they watch the same band that performs there every month, same band that never even bothers to go to another city, let alone another country, to play there. And these bands have nothing to offer. They play the same thing, and regardless of how serious the members pretend that they are about what they are doing, what they're doing doesn't hold any water. It is not going to change anything. It is only a label for them to pick and put over their own lives, rather than wanting to change what's actually in the world. And I think that in the case of Trivax, we are doing this with utmost sincerity, and we want to change this world. We want to change people. We want to change the vibrations to our own liking. And we are performing this type of music with the kind of fire that we would be if we were going around the globe touring arenas. Whether we are performing in front of 10 people or about 700-800, it really doesn't matter. What's inside of Trivax is something that I think it found us rather than we found it. I think that obviously I'm very honored to have faced such thing in my lifetime, but at the same time it is quite a difficult task, because you do have to rely on other people to give you some support. I mean, we will continue regardless. Doesn't matter what happens. This is what we like to do. However, I think that if you want to change the scene, if you want to make something good happen, and if you want to, you know, we are a spit in the face of the mediocrity that has infected this whole genre of metal, or even rock, I would say. You know, yeah, I'd like to see some of those bands that I wear the t-shirts of, that I listen to the music, that I go to their shows, that I really have journeys with, try and come up with an album the same level as the one that we've just come up with for their debut album at that. So I don't know if it's up to the people. I think we're extremely relevant because we are a young band relatively compared to so many. However, the fire that we have completely sets everything around us on fire, including bands. In the past 4 or 5 years that I've been in United Kingdom, I have seen so many bands come and go already, and to me the definition of a metal band was always a band that would be around for, I don't know, 20-25 years, and then eventually, you know, like some festivals would start booking them. But it seems like a lot of people don't have that mindset. Maybe they're too spoiled, or they can't think outside of the box, or they're trying too hard to think outside of the box. Whereas with us, it's natural. We carry what people are looking for and aren't seeing it elsewhere. Trivax originally formed as a one-man project that I had back in late 2008, early 2009. There was never an official date for it. But obviously it was a one-man project because I did not know a single person who even listened to that kind of music. And at the time, what I was into wasn't even that obscure anyway. It's just that I didn't find any person. So I think April 2009 was finally when I found a few members. Actually, I found Mertat, who ended up being a member of the band on and off for a long time while we were in Iran, and he still contributes to the band in some ways. But on and off, it was still more a one-man project for a very, very long time, because I couldn't find anyone that was even a metalhead who wanted to play Metallica covers, let alone, that at the time I was very much looking to create black metal, but quality black metal at that, not the typical Ibanez holding, suicidal black metal, that has Guitar Pro drums over it. Eventually, I think in October, November 2010, I found a few other people through the strangest way possible. I actually found some other musicians, and yeah, we decided we wanted a band, and it all came together very. It's quite. I don't know. It's really strange when I think of it now. It's very bizarre how that just came together, and obviously, as the band, I think that actually we were okay musicians at the time. But it was just not a band that was going to go anywhere or do anything too special, because there was constant tension, and people weren't really sure of what they wanted to do, and it was the kind of circumstances that here, where I've been, you would never even come across anything similar to it. And bear in mind that I think we had that lineup for about 8-9 months, and we had this rehearsal space in the drummer's basement, which had, which was obviously very DIY acoustic, so we had like egg cases all over the walls and everything with cement that we built, and any moment, we would be rehearsing, worrying that, oh shit, the police is gonna come arrest us. But somehow, some way, we got away with it, and we actually managed to play about 3 live shows, and but that was it. It was the band the guys in the band never were willing to go more extreme, and I always found ways to convince them to sort of go around things, because certain members were extremely narrow-minded, and to the point that they wanted to play because they wanted to get some attention, so they could go, tell their dad that, hey dad, I did this. So yeah, I think that generally the members didn't particularly have the right mindset for this kind of band, or that kind of work in general. And it's fine, it's okay to want stardom, even if you are just rehearsing in some tiny room in a basement somewhere in Tehran. But at the same time, that's really not why I started doing this. I started doing this because I felt like there was something within me that had to be released, and this is way beyond just being pissed off or upset and then wanting to express yourself. This goes way beyond that, and I have realized that this is more of a case of I have been given the gift or the curse of life, therefore I need to do Trivax. That is, I have the chance to finally be above ground, walking around with my own consciousness, and what I need to do is Trivax. I need to put my energies out there. I need to inject people with what I want to inject them with. And yeah, it's obviously you can imagine wanting a band, an entire band that thinks the same way is really fucking difficult. But since I moved to the UK, I will say the first few years were a real fucking struggle, but now, or the past couple of years, I would say that we have grown so much together because of some of the things that we've done and we've accomplished. And these things might be nothing in the eyes of an outside person, but for us it means a lot. That's what's shaped our personalities and who we are and what we do and what our priorities are in life. So I'm very glad, you know, that's why Trivax now is a complete unit. When I sit down and I write the music, I imagine everything from the mindset of each member while working on their parts, you know, while like how they think, what their feelings, what their how their momentum works. And that's why when all of that comes together, it's just this giant monumental explosion. And that's precisely what's happened on this album. I think that the album, even though it's probably not even the tightest when it comes to the performance, the energy is completely raw, and it's going to do things to people. It is, I think it's impossible for you to sit down and listen to Sin, especially from start to finish, and leave the experience without any change in your mindset. I think our live shows, each time they take place, the world feels like a different place to me afterwards. I don't necessarily feel like a different person, but I feel like, you know, if I was covered in shit before doing that live show, and now I'm suddenly covered in mud, if that makes any sense. When we do Trivax live shows, there are certain things that go behind, I mean, from the basics of the ideology itself to the moment that we are in action. And I think there are certain things that go behind that are very different to how most rock bands do it. And I'm not saying that our way is the right way, because it really takes a toll on us in terms of our livelihood. And they change everything. Those are the moments. Playing live shows is possibly the main reason why I moved out of Iran, and I left everything to be able to perform live. That's possibly the main reason, because you can always create music in your home and then record something and then put it online, but it is having a whole band and then taking that on stage, that's what really I think exercises your existence in general. When I ended up on this path, all I wanted to do was to just be able to do it, to be free. Freedom, that's a key word in the whole scenario, I think. Me and my friends in Iran used to go to central parks and then go to find some corners where there was bushes where we could go behind and, I don't know, play mayhem out of our phones and headbang to that. For me, I don't want to be very obviously I'm not grateful in the sense of stagnating, of course not, fuck that, but I've already been here, I've already achieved what I wanted. We've done the tour that we wanted to do, and we've shared stages with well, mostly very shitty bands, but some very good bands too that are our brothers now. So I have already achieved what it is that I always wanted to achieve, and this cycle, sin, this could be the end of everything as we speak, because things are the way they are, but it could also be only the beginning of something extremely long. What it is that sin is the closing of a cycle and a foot in the next chapter. So we will see what happens. For me, just to be able to go on stage and express myself in the most honest way that I find, that's perfect to me, and that is Trivax, and that is also sin. Sin will be released on the 13th of November this year, 2016. The artwork was done by myself and Woven Claws of the Crystal Romantic Arts, who has been responsible for our 2 EP covers and also the logo for the band. And yeah, if people are going to take time out of their precious daily lives to listen to this album, then my job's already done. Hail Chaos.